Welcome to the Bitches of Eastwick podcast. I am your host, Riot Addams. Thank you for tuning in. If you're just now jumping into the podcast, I have been reviewing all of the spells from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And we've officially finished part 1 or season 1 of the show. Now we're going to be starting part 2 or season 2. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that I was going to upload the podcast to like Spotify and Apple, iTunes, all the other places that you can listen to podcasts. However, the Bitches of Eastwick will be a YouTube exclusive. So the Bitches of Eastwick podcast will only be available on YouTube, and there is a bit of a reason for this. I know from like an outsider's perspective, it might seem like, oh, you're a content creator, you just make things and post them online. It can't be that difficult, but it kind of is really difficult. Girl, I have so many like accounts and things that I have to keep track of. And I do have a distribution account for music, but getting the podcast on all these other platforms is just too much work for me. So until the day comes that I have a manager and an assistant and an assistant, everything's staying on YouTube. Also, every episode of the podcast should be better than the last one until I reach some level of comfort. Recording podcasts is totally new to me. So yeah, it's a work in progress. All right, enough stalling. Let's get into this. We will be reviewing and breaking down every spell from season 2 or part 2 of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Let's go. All right, the first bit of magic is actually like a Sabrina classic where she's in her bedroom with Salem and she's in the mirror and doing the whole like costume change thing. Very reminiscent of like the 90s or early 2000s Sabrina. But that is just movie magic. She's spinning, and every time she spins, her clothes change. So, as far as actual witchcraft goes, 0 out of 10. Alright, this next spell, it looks like she's being attacked by some demon dude. And I just have to laugh a little bit because she like reaches her hand out towards a bookcase and she does this whole incantation in Latin just to levitate a book into her hands so she could do another incantation in Latin. Very, very counterintuitive, counterproductive. Now, I'm not sure what she's saying in Latin, and the spell seems a little bit lazy in my opinion. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10. Okay, in this next scene, she's with Ambrose in like the study of her house. She shuts the door with her mind powers, and then she's getting angry at Ambrose, and it's like a little gust of wind blowing through the room. The lamps and the furniture is shaking a little bit. Very movie magic, but nothing actually witchy in that, so 0 out of 10. Okay, next scene, she is in the Academy of Unseen Arts, and it's potions class. And she has some cobra skin and a shark's eye. The spell itself, it's rhymey, very whimsical. And if I remember correctly, the potion itself was for like death or something. It was like supposed to kill you instantly if you drank it. Since we're judging these spells based off of real witchcraft, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 10. The reason I'm giving it a 1 is because it's all very empty. There's no real research being done for this. However, you could use cobra skin in a spell, and you could use a shark's eye too. But you have to think about what the spell ingredients are actually for and what they're doing in the spell. They're making a potion, so I could say maybe using these ingredients in war water. The snake skin I would use in a ward for like protection, or you could use it for transformation, transmutation, transfiguration, all the trans. Could also be used to sneak or go unseen. Anytime an eye is being used, I'm going to think like vision, sight, stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure sharks can't see very well. I'm not sure. I'd have to do some more research on the spell ingredients here and figure out what I would do with them. But still, I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. Okay, next spell. She is casting on Theo to make him better at basketball. She's just saying something in Latin, very lazy. But I do like the idea of giving someone confidence. Could also be utilizing a luck spell, something like that. So for that, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Only because the idea and the results are pretty realistic, but the execution was just not good. Oh, okay, we've got something good here. Okay, they're in the Church of Night, and they are summoning demons. If I remember right, I'm pretty sure they're summoning the 3 Lords of Hell, which I believe there are more than 3 Lords of Hell, but don't quote me. Now, what they're doing here is what I would consider ceremonial magic or a ceremonial ritual. Typically, ceremonial magic is something that you really think about and plan before you do it. And this is also what I would consider the occult versus just witchcraft. So they have some sigils, some seals drawn on the wood floor in chalk. I couldn't make out what they were at first, but I knew where they were going with it. And at a glance, I thought they were almost carbon copies of some of the seals from the Goetia or Keys of Solomon. But there's just one scene where they do like an overhead shot, so you see the entire picture on the wood floor. So because of that, I can tell that it's fake. However, they did a really good job with it. It looks very realistic. So yeah, the incantation was weak. The seals are fake, but because they did a pretty good job and they are using it for the right purpose, I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10. Alright, other than that last spell where they summoned the Lords of Hell, the magic in this second season has been pretty weak so far. In this next spell, she's contemplating blowing up a milkshake in front of Roz and Harvey because she's a bit jealous. And then the spell after that, she just disappears. 0 out of 10 for both of those, but I feel like so far we're just getting a lot of movie magic, and I want something more. I need more. And this next spell, they've got some candles lit, they utter a spell, and they summon the Judges of Hell or whatever. It's not good. I don't like it. 0 out of 10. I've seen better summonings on Charmed. Okay, next spell is just some movie magic. She shuts the door on this like witch hunter angel, says some words in Latin, and then he's unable to unlock the door. Not how witchcraft works, but yeah, it's a 0 out of 10. I'm really disappointed. I feel like we've only had one good example so far. Alright, this next spell, or a bit of magic, definitely a 0 out of 10. However, I love this scene. It's the one where she's got like the white eyes and she's floating and she ends up burning the angel witch hunters. Love that. I really liked this era for Sabrina where she was like godly. I loved it. Alright guys, listen, I'm wondering if I should just fast track this because they clearly put a lot more work into that first season as far as like the realistic witchcraft goes. So I almost feel like I'm wasting my time, like I'm just saying a lot of no's, giving a lot of zeros. So sound off in the comments if you just want me to fast track, and I can do like in the next episodes, it could be like all the real spells or something like that. Not just for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, but like going forward for the other shows and movies that I do reviews like this on. So sound off in the comments if you just want the good stuff. But in this next spell, she is stopping someone from bleeding out. She's doing a healing. It's just movie magic. Witchcraft does not work that way. If for some reason you happen to be bleeding out, please call 911. Next bit of magic, she changes the weather from rainy to sunny while closing her eyes and thinking about it. Gonna give it a 0 out of 10. Okay, here's something. I'm gonna give it only like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. However, I'm gonna explain how we could adapt it so it's like real witchcraft. Sabrina's in the bathroom with Roz and the rest of the gang. Roz is blind. She's been losing her sight. Sabrina turns on the faucet. She lifts up her hand. She just thinks about something, and then the water becomes magical. Roz then washes out her eyes, and once she's done, she's able to see again. Now, witchcraft doesn't really work like this, but you can definitely adapt this spell to work for you in other ways. Let's say you have some kind of sickness, or maybe you are losing your sight. You certainly could wash your eyes out with healing water, a blessed water, a holy water, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a miracle will be performed and all of a sudden you get your sight back. But just off of the top of my head, I think a good way to adapt this spell for some actual witchcraft would be using a healing water to lift the fog from someone who has clouded judgment. So the washing out the eyes would symbolize clearing out the fog, and helping them be able to see clearly and make better decisions. Okay, next spell is Sabrina basically looking up at the ceiling and a bunch of rose petals start falling. It's a very beautiful scene, but not witchcraft, 0 out of 10. Spell after that, she resurrects a dead mouse. Again, 0 out of 10. Next spell, Sabrina basically calls forth a music box into her arms. 0 out of 10. Next spell, she is summoning an illusion of Satan. 0 out of 10. Okay, the last bit of magic that's being performed in season 2 is Sabrina's like doppelganger golem thing that's made out of like a root or whatever. It's complete movie magic, nothing realistic about it as far as actual witchcraft goes. Alright, that was pretty disappointing. I feel like we only got, one real bit of witchcraft and 3 okay bits. It just wasn't that great. They put a lot of work into that first season, and this second season just fell off. I wonder if they got a lot of complaints, because the first season was filmed before it was released. So I'm wondering if after it was actually released, they got a bunch of complaints, probably from Christian people, saying, "Oh, there's real witchcraft in that show. Take it down, devil worshippers." Honestly, that's probably what happened. So, since this is the direction that it's going, I'm going to speed through the last 2 seasons, and we will just talk about the good bits and the few honorable mentions, because I don't want to be wasting time on a bunch of no's. But that concludes this episode of The Bitches of Eastwick. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you get notified when I post new videos. But anyways, I will see you in the next episode. Bye!